What happens if a situation arises that you were unprepared for? A situation such as a blizzard, a tornado, or being locked down due to a virus. Put yourself in any possible situation that could arise. Now ask yourself, what would you do? Where would you go? What do you need? Are you ready? Because what if tomorrow? Welcome to What If Tomorrow. I'm Philip.
Not Mark.
And yeah, tonight, man, we've got a show lined out. Hopefully some people take part. Tonight is What If You Ask Us Anything. We kind of laid this out a couple of weeks ago. If we do all right tonight, we may bring it on more often, or we may just have a segment of the show or something like that. We want to know what you guys think of it. So feel free, if you're in the chat, ask us questions. I'll be monitoring on Facebook as well, and all that will come up on the chat. So if you have any questions about preparedness, whatever's going on in the world right now, what our opinions are, other than that, I mean, feel free to ask. I mean, anything goes. I mean, except for my underwear color and whatever. So
Only because it's pink.
Well, I don't want to tell everybody, Mark, but but yeah, definitely feel free to ask us any question concerning things we talk about on the show. We'd love to hear your input, your thoughts as well. So feel free to join the conversation. We love it when you guys are in the chat. When we love to interact with you guys, and that's what it's about. This is your show just as much as it is ours. It's kind of where we started, and this is where we want to continue taking this. Is your show. I mean, we're just the face of it, I guess you could say. Not the most, not the best looking faces, but we're still the face of it. So,
no, I've got a face made for radio.
Said, okay, but what color's Mark's underwear?
This is a PC or a family show. We can't.
A PG show.
PG show.
Well, I don't know if I'd say
I mean,
PG,
if I wore any, but I'm
going commando. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, tonight, I mean, we're gonna kind of talk about news interspersed with whatever comments we get. We've got some stuff pulled up. Okay, question, Enzo, first one. What's up, buddy? It says, for overall preparedness on a budget, what are some cheap and easy things everyone can do?
Lighters.
Ahead, yep.
Lighters. They're cheap. You can get them at Dollar Tree. You can get them grocery store. Keep a few of them around. The ability to start a fire is a big deal.
Yep. Not only that, but
you don't have to have fancy fire starters. You don't have to be a caveman to start a fire. Buy some lighters, stick them in places where you might need them.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, Facebook user, Levi, same thing. We collect our lint from our dryer. We put them in Ziploc bags. Excellent fire starter. I know a lot of people will take egg cartons and put their dryer lint in there with some wax and kind of melt wax over them. Put them in your egg cartons. Maybe we do a video on this.
There you go.
And build a tinder, but it catches so fast, so, I mean, it takes quite a bit to get a decent fire going because it burns so fast, but it is an exceptional fire starter. Food wise, really, I mean, we're looking at survival. You obviously don't want to go out and buy high end stuff. You want something that's got a decent shelf life. Your canned meats will help tremendously. Spam, sardines, oysters, canned tuna. Make sure you're watching the dates, obviously, but they will definitely last longer. They're more shelf stable. Even with, like your packaged tuna and stuff like that. and it doesn't necessarily have to be canned, because the new Mylar packages,
Those are nice.
yeah, they are nice, but they're small. You can transport them. You can throw them in a bag, whatever. Enzo City is fancy. And he has a mountain house in the basement. Yeah.
Ooh,
Higher end, definitely.
tasty.
You want to look at like My Patriot Supply, Four Patriots, Mountain House. Then there's Wise. There's all sorts of different.
Yeah, Augustin Farms, they've got a lot of stuff, kind of towards the lower end of the scale, but they have like a 25-year shelf life.
Yeah, definitely. And for those, I mean, my wife. This is one of my wife and I's kind of bucket list item, I guess you could say, is our own freeze dryer. So we can make our own produce out of our garden or whatever. If we butcher a pig or whatever, we can you can freeze dry meals. I mean, they're amazing. The harvest rights. We're definitely wanting to get into one, but right now we're kind of not in that position because they're pricey. They're about for a medium size when you're looking at about $3,000.
Yeah.
And if you use it though, I mean, that's going to save you a ton of money because you can take your leftovers, throw them in it and dry them. Boom, you're done. You got it stored and it'll last for 25.
And you can trade them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it comes down to a barter economy, trade it, alcohol, real simple, easy things. Really, Enzo said, really look at what is in those bucket prepper meals. A lot of it can be replaced with those, $1.10 instant north sides. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
You can buy a 50-pound bag of, this is my favorite. I always bring it up. You can buy a 50-pound bag of farina online for next to nothing. As long as you like cream of wheat, you're in good shape.
Right. You're going to be tired of it by the time you get that 50-pound bag, but that's the same thing. I mean, you go to these big box stores, Costco, Sam's, and, you can buy bulk beans, rice, stuff like that. I mean, everybody says, hey, I'm just stocking up on beans and rice. Well, that's not a bad thing, but you're going to want something to supplement that with. I
Yeah,
mean, you
and you're
get a
gonna
lot
want
of
to
nutrients.
watch your shelf life.
Yeah.
Now they do make some really neat things. Now I'm gonna get one of these days to test it. They make a little deal. You can reseal your canning jars. Charges up on a USB port and it vacuum seals a jar. So vacuum sealing your beans and rice in a jar like that with oxygen absorber, not a bad idea. But I mean, peanut butter keeps for a long time. You can
Yep.
buy the big bulk jars of peanut butter and set it aside. Just watch the date. When it does start getting close, open it up and eat it. Buy you another one.
Yeah. They have that powdered peanut butter now. I mean, I'm not sure. We have some. I haven't tried it. Maybe I should.
I've
But you
tried
can
it.
buy
It's
it.
not good.
I bet not. But I mean,
It's
it's
okay to cook
calories.
with though.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Pretty good to
definitely
cook with.
it's calories, and that's what's important, especially in a survival situation. Um. Oh, what else? I mean, simple things. I mean, you don't have to think terribly hard on it. I mean,
Yeah.
the biggest
Ramen.
thing, yeah, ramen. Like Enzo said, those Nor, you know, noodles or the broccoli and rice and stuff like that. You don't have to break the bank. Macaroni and cheese. The box macaroni and cheese. I mean, real simple things that won't break the bank. If you're going to the store, I mean, I know it's scary to go to the store right now with the price of everything. But, if you're going to go buy a box of macaroni and cheese, just pick up an extra one and store it.
Yeah. Oh,
Real simple, real sweet. Like I said, you don't have to overthink it. And if you haven't started, start with trying to get 3 days food for your family.
yeah. And
And it's not
not
hard.
hard.
My daughter and I mean, I'm sure. I mean, you got. I mean, obviously they're getting profit, but we went to the grocery store the other day and they had brown paper bags full of food for needy families. It was like $10. So I said, "Yep, throw one up on the cart." I told my daughter, "Go get it." And I wanted to teach her a lesson too. I mean, that's uh, to give. To be a servant. And but said, throw it up there. I mean, because it was full. It was like full of noodles and just kind of the holiday staples. Because it was like right after Thanksgiving. Now we're coming on to Christmas, and I took it as a teaching moment for my daughter. She's 6, and I wanted to kind of have her understand that because she asked um where it was, because we left the store and they kept it and they took it to the back so they could make the deliveries to the food closet, and that's where it went. And we got to the truck. I mean, I just had to stop and get something. I can't remember what it was. It was something small, nothing big. I mean, I think I spent $14 or something like that, including the bag of food. But she's like, "Where's the bag of food? Well, I thought we were gonna go deliver it." And hey, Alicia. And I said, "No, baby. I mean, they will deliver it. We just paid for it. We're giving uh people that need it. We're helping them out through the holidays, and that's what's important. Trying to give her that teaching moment." Um, but yeah, so I mean, with me saying that, I mean, you could really go pretty cheap and get a pretty good stockpile of food going.
Yeah.
Enzo said
Canned
he
goods.
used, yeah. Enzo said he used powdered peanut butter and protein drinks, protein powder shakes, are on their own or a good long term store. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
calories. I mean, that's something that people I think
Protein.
overlook. Yeah, I think people overlook. Well, food and this and that. This is the kind of food I need. I mean, it's not that hard, so don't overthink it. It's about calories
Yeah,
more than
that's all
anything.
survival is right at that point. It doesn't matter if it's healthy or whatever. It stores and it provides calories in an emergency because it doesn't matter how good the food is if you can't prepare it and you're starving and you need the energy to build a fire, you need the energy to get your family out of a flood or whatever. You need those calories.
So, yeah, just to kind of guy we work with, I don't want to really say his name. He'll know I'm talking to him because he's blowing up my phone. He's texting me, he's messing with me. so, so hi. He said, "Just say hi, and I'll leave you alone." But yeah, he's probably got 20 messages. Um, but anyway, he yeah, it's just don't overthink it. That's the biggest thing. I mean, you can get a lot of things cheap. Um,
Water.
gear wise, hey Frogger Gaming, nice to see you. I think it's the first time I've seen you on the show. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Um, now for gear, preparedness, survival gear, you kind of want to fork out a little bit extra, because everybody knows if you buy cheap, it's not going to last.
Right.
Buy what I'm not going to say buy cheap. I'm not going to say spend all your money. Buy what you can afford.
Um,
Get your basics.
we went on a little kick a while back where we were building what we thought were get home bags, and I ended up building a bug out bag. But I got a little excited. But I mean, I was spending $20 a pop when I went to the store every week or two, and I ended up with a giant bag full of gear, um, and with extras of a lot of things. Without even really trying. So, I mean, the camping section at Walmart is I mean, you can't beat it. Just get simple things that like have a knife, have something to start a fire with. Like I said, a lighter. Uh, mess kits are like $5.
Yep.
There's stuff there. Water filtration. I spent less than $20.
Yeah.
I got a water filtration deal that'll filter 10,000 gallons of water and make it safe to drink. And that is a big one. You got to have water even before food. So
Yeah,
keep that in
absolutely.
mind.
I've actually got the dry erase board up here that we were using to kind of cue off of what we were doing.
Right.
For finish, and that's me buying a new bag, building it. I mean, I had clothes, fishing pole, tackle, all that stuff in there, and it was like $180.
Yeah.
Everything. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, Enzo, you're right. He says it's easy for your get home bag or get home or bug out bag to grow out of control fast. Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, you got to think about your area, your weather conditions. I mean, there's a lot to it, but it's not terribly hard.
No, and it doesn't have to be expensive.
No, it absolutely doesn't. Kids wise, if you're packing up for kids, give them something to do when you're on your downtime. Give them some toys to play with. Maybe some ration bars or little things like that they can snack on.
Protein bars are great.
Protein bars, a bag of nuts or like trail mix or fruit snacks, things like that. I mean, the fruit snacks probably aren't going to have the shelf life of like nuts or protein bars or something like that, but it'll be something that they enjoy. And then on that note, if you have to use it, if there's a situation where you have to use your bag to either get home or bug out or whatever, it's going to be stressful. As an adult, you can imagine, you can put yourself in that position. It's going to be extremely stressful for you, especially trying to get your kids going. Your kids are going to feed off of that. You got to think about that. How much stress are those kids going to be under? Because they're not going to have a clue. All they're going to think about is, well, mom and dad are making us go. Especially if they're little kids, they're not going to understand that. So you want to try to give them things to have. That way they're not as stressed. They have something from home that's they're comfortable with, something that they can withdraw in. That's kind of the psychological thing. And
Get
I'm not
them a little
psychiatrist.
bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Build your kids a bug out bag.
Oh, a big deal though with little kids. You got to keep wheels under them. They don't have your ability to keep going. So those little fold up wagons.
Oh, they're amazing.
Those are great. I mean, and if the kids don't want to ride in it while they're walking, you can put your bags in it so you can have a rest. Not a bad deal to think about.
Yep. Enzo, back to the water filtration. He said it's very important. It's easier and lighter to carry that than a couple of gallons of water. Absolutely. 1 second. I want to grab something real quick. It's just handy.
No problem. I'd have to go to the other room to get my water filtration pack, but the whole package comes in a little package about like that. Filters 10,000 gallons. You can hook it up to your Camelback. You can hook it up to a bottle. So you can fill a bottle of water and hook it up and use it to filter out of. It's got a pump. It's basically a syringe pump. You can pump water. That's good stuff. You don't need anything fancy, but definitely a knife, a way to start a fire, some sort of calories, and think about your water. Life straws. Those are great. There's a ton of stuff. Like I say, all you have to do is buy 1 or 2 items at a time. When we did our bags, we were trying to limit ourselves to $20 a trip. Right in there. I think I spent $25 on a giant box of camping knives and stuff. That's the most I spent at any one time. By the way, I have enough knives to probably arm half a town. I don't know. I may have a problem with knives. I don't ever use them, but I have lots of them.
Oh, I use mine all the time.
Well, yeah, the one I carry all the time. Yeah, I use it all the time, but I have a problem. I may be addicted to buying them and then putting them in a box and never getting them out.
So, speaking of water filters, we're going to kind of go back to that real quick. Yes, absolutely. Enzo, they're like jewelry for men. Knives are shiny. They go with everything. They go with your wallet. They go
Yeah.
with your shoes. I mean, you got to have one for every occasion, right?
Well, I have a black one. I have a shiny one. I have a wooden one. Yeah. Let's see.
I'll address that here in a second, Levi. Speaking of water purification, life straws. I mean, they're great. They're light. They're portable. A matter of fact, here the last week or so, I've been kind of cleaning up in the room here, and I had a ton of battle boxes. I used to subscribe to them a year or so ago, and you get some really cool stuff. I mean, I've got some here I could show you guys. But I just went through one tonight, and it's a Save Aqua water filter, little bitty. Again, it's lightweight. I mean, so it's keeping with what Enzo said about it's easier and lighter to carry. You have your filters and all. You can even see filters and all that. It's pretty cool little filter. And talking about knives, I've gotten several through Battle Box. This one here, I just found tonight and I forgot about it. I mean, a lot of this stuff I forgot about, but yeah, it's a little neck knife. It's not much.
Oh, I love those. I love those.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool.
I have a collection.
Yeah, me too. But there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think. So
no, I mean, you might have friends who don't have one. And
yeah.
Well,
what happens if you break a blade or something like that?
Right.
I mean, especially in your bag. I mean, I've got my good old K-bar. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's good to have a backup or two in your bag just in case you break one, or a good Leatherman or a multi-tool is definitely handy.
Yeah. I've got one in each of my bags. I've got a get home bag in the trunk of my car that never leaves. It's got a IFAC first aid kit with just about everything you can think of in it. It's got a couple little knives. It's got a flashlight. It's got a cable saw, sutures, all kinds of stuff in it.
Yep.
I've got those emergency ration bars. It's got 3 days worth of calories. I've got a little bitty bag about this big that has a tent, a poncho, and a sleeping bag in it. They're nylon with a Mylar lining. Any kind of weather, I have shelter and cover. And you can buy those on Amazon, or I saw them on Temu for like $10 for the same deal that I've got. It's got a one person tent, a sleeping bag, and a poncho with a hood. I mean, they're not the best thing in the world, but use them together and you can stay warm in a lot of situations.
Yeah. Talking first aid kits, this is another one out of the Battle Box. I recommend, if you can afford Battle Box, go for it, man. I mean, you get some really cool stuff. This whole first aid kit, it's MOLLE compatible. I don't like it because it's bright. I think more of, and kind of talking into Levi's comment, he's thinking of more get home measure. A big thing that I take into consideration is concealment on the way to your destination, because there'll be people who look to harm you. But if you see them before they see you, you can work to get around them. I mean, red is definitely highly noticeable, but this can fit in a pack too. That's the good thing. Or you could, it's not hard. You could color it out or whatever. It doesn't matter about that. I mean, it depends on what your thinking is. But to his comment, the concealment measure, I think a lot of people, and I even did at the start of my preparedness journey, was thinking more tactical, because of where I come from. Sure, it's great to be armed. I'm not going to tell you not to. I mean, you definitely want to be armed. But I would say don't dress in fatigues. Don't put
No.
camouflage on unless you're where you're going, and that's going to be your standard dress for the area. Camouflage, security, stuff like that. I could see. But traveling, you don't want to be wearing that because it's going to draw a target on you. Become the gray man. Dress like everybody around you dresses. Dress like you normally do. T-shirt, jacket, whatever. Mix in, blend in. That's the biggest piece of advice I could give anybody, especially if you're bugging out and the world's falling apart and you miss the rush. Let's say that. You waited too long and people are going stupid. Yeah, you want to become the gray man. You don't need to be, tacticaled out and all that, because you're going to draw a target on yourself. Again, definitely be armed. Have a way to transport your weaponry, whether you conceal carry. If you're carrying a rifle of some sort, you don't want that blazed out. I mean, in my opinion, you don't want that standing out, because people are going, well, hey, I want that. Because there's going to be somebody that tries to take it.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're definitely going to scare some people off, but there's going to be people trying to take it too. In my opinion, that's just the way my mind is working. So gray man is extremely important.
Absolutely.
What I can't remember his name. He used to be on a one of those survival shows. He was teamed up. Man, all these stupid pop-ups coming up now with Norton. But he was teamed up with a guy, and this guy was more of an all-natural guy. He was a big beefy guy, but he was always barefoot. I don't know if that's drawn.
That's not.
But anyway, he didn't even carry a pack. He took a blanket, wrapped up all his belongings, everything that he needed inside that blanket, and slung it across his back. I was like, that's really a great idea. Because a lot of times these packs, these tactical packs, everybody's got them now. I mean, they're super popular, so it may not draw as much attention, but people are like, well, man, that guy's probably got some good stuff in there. But if somebody's carrying around a blanket,
yeah,
they may make you less of a target.
A school backpack with Dora the Explorer on it. I mean,
yeah,
they're gonna think, he just took his kid's backpack.
Right.
He's probably got some mac and cheese in there, but that's about it.
Right.
So
I mean, there's definitely other ways to look around it. But yeah, definitely gray man is the most important. Especially if you're bugging out, anything like that. So
stay off the road if you don't need to be on the road.
Right. I mean, personally, I don't have a bug out plan. I probably should, but I fully intend to bug in.
Same. That's my plan.
That's kind of my thoughts on it. I mean, should I have one? I probably should. A way to get out and figure out where I want to go.
Most situations are going to be a bug in situation.
Yeah, absolutely they are.
Being forced to leave is going to be a rarity.
Right. I could see, I mean, if I lived in a big city, say Tulsa or Wichita or Kansas City, definitely.
I'd probably want to leave. Yeah.
But for our area, as limited as a population that it is, I think bug in is probably going to be your best bet. Plus, there's a lot of everybody around's got guns and all that, so it may be a little bit different story around from around here, and I would say that's pretty typical for most rural areas.
Right. I don't see a huge problem in this area with law and order breaking down, because at that point, a lot of people are going to go ahead and arm up, even if they don't normally. I guarantee you there are more weapons in the town I'm living in than there are people, even if you count the cemetery. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not. If you pardon my French, I don't believe I would be inclined to quote unquote fuck around and find out.
Right.
Not around here. I can't say the same for a big city.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Enzo, he says, I imagine your average person around you is more heavily armed than the sheriff anyway. Yeah. Yeah. And I'd say a large majority of the people know somebody that's on the sheriff's office or your local police department or
I'm
whatever.
good friends
So
with several of them, so
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah, I like shotguns because I can't see very well and I can't hit the so I can't see anymore. So
Yep. I'm going to bring up this article since we're talking about kind of doomsday prepping, you know. This is actually from New York Post. It says why younger Americans are stockpiling supplies ahead of 2024 election, society unraveling. And I love how they're still trying to bring that negative connotation to the word prepper. But doomsday prepping is seeping into the mainstream as Americans of all ages and political persuasions are becoming increasingly worried ahead of a 2024 presidential election about the prospect of a civil war. Hoarding, I love this too. Hoarding food, water, and weapons was once associated with libertarian extremists, but as a rematch between President Biden and his predecessor, former President Donald Trump, seems all but inevitable. In 2024, prepping has become a bipartisan activity, according to a Monday USA Today report. On the left, you have people afraid Trump's going to declare himself dictator of the United States, and people on the left are going to end up as targets in some sort of authoritarian system, such as author Brad Garrett told the paper. On the right is general malaise and fear of society unraveling. They point to these smash and grab robberies, riots, and protests. Breck Wagner, 39, of New York or of North Carolina, runs a YouTube channel that offers advice to younger, more liberal urban dwellers about how to prepare for cataclysmic disaster. She is worried that if Trump is reelected, he would fumble the response to a hurricane or other natural disaster that is supercharged by climate change, pointing to his administration's handling of Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico on the COVID-19 pandemic. The intensification of our natural storm season is the number one thing that's going to happen to you, she reportedly said. An EMP that takes out electrical grid could happen. A nuclear war might happen. A civil war might happen, but a storm will happen. I mean, we've talked about all those.
oh yeah.
Wagner has a 90-day food supply stocked up for a 6-person family in the event of a similar emergency. If you can be prepared, you won't be a drain on the resources needed to help the people who didn't prepare, she told the paper. In the face of an apocalypse, I want to come out and calmly help people, she said. I want to be able to create a society that instead of wanting to shoot every stranger, understands our interdependence and creates a better society. Not every prepper is influenced by altruism. Retired U.S. Air Force Colonel Drew Miller has built 7 Fortitude Ranch compounds across the country, stockpiled with food, propane, whiskey, solar panels, wells, and lots of guns and ammunitions. His members, who pay at least $1,200 a year, are reportedly prepared to flee to the nearest compound in the event of war, nuclear blasts, or protesting mobs, and shoot any marauders who approach its logged walls. We'll have some decent chow here come a collapse, Miller said while giving the USA Today a tour of the Spartan accommodations in a southern Colorado compound. We guarantee a year of food, but not of toilet paper.
Yes,
exactly.
Enzo. I mean, he's got it.
The compound features an armored guard post, sniper positions, and an underground bunker for its approximately 100 members.
It's not
Miller
gone.
showed off. Miller showed off the weaponry that members would have at hand, including a 50 caliber rifle to fire approaching vehicles, hunting rifles, and a cache of handguns. In the event of a doomsday scenario, Miller said his group of survivors will be positioned to financially capitalize on widespread urban fatalities and concentrate wealth and resources, not unlike what happened when the Black Death pandemic killed up to 200 million people in the 1300s. I want middle class Americans to survive, and we make it affordable to do that. Miller said, I think eventually things will recover, and I want to be alive for that. Many of Miller's clients signed up during the widespread racial justice and ensuing civil unrest that followed the police murder of George Floyd in 2020. Even though most of these protests were peaceful, Trump threatened to dispatch the military to clamp down on demonstrators as many large cities suffered property damage. Quote, there could easily be a civil war during a Biden-Trump election, he said, end quote. Adding that his group was apolitical and pointing out that many of his members are ex-military and trained in survival. Over the past year, younger Americans have outpaced baby boomers and Gen Xers in prepping for doomsday scenarios, which has blossomed into a $11 billion annual business in the U.S., according to Finder.com. Some 39% of millennials and 40% of Gen Z had spent money on the practice in the past 12 months, compared to 29% of the overall U.S. adult population. The analytic spending website said, let's see, it's still a long way. Either way you look at it, I don't care, left, right, middle, whatever. This is a good thing, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, look, I've got pulled up in Fox Weather. There's a geomagnetic storm watch for tomorrow. So we could have, a solar flare that knocks out the grid. It's just common sense to try to hedge your bets.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Not going to hurt nothing.
But I love how, and forgive me for being one-sided here, I love how now that the left is kind of getting into it, it's not so crazy anymore.
Yes. It's amazing how that works, isn't it?
Because like I said, and so said, what sci-fi article is this? That was actually from the New York Post, man. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think everybody needs to.
Yeah.
Everybody. Go ahead.
That even FEMA has a list of stuff you should have in case of an emergency, which I believe is still pinned to the top of our Facebook page.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm on here.
And it, even though it's a government organization, they're not wrong.
No.
I believe it's still up here someplace. Yeah. Maybe. I can always repost it, but I mean,
yeah, it's up there. I just looked. Menzel said the reasoning for their preps are silly, but without labels, it's sound, and what they are doing is fine. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hope it's not going to be like Chaz or whatever the hell that was up in Seattle.
Yeah, that was weird.
I mean, I hope that's not the mentality behind it. I can see to some point the whole Civil War thing, as divided as we are. I don't personally think it will blow up that big.
No, and I think it's getting a little better.
I tend to agree, thinking about it. I mean, I really do.
I'm seeing some improvement in that. I was of mind it was entirely possible, and now I'm feeling like it's less likely than it was when we first discussed it. If you go back into I can't remember when it was, but if you go back through our catalog, you'll see where we were talking about it. I feel like it's relaxed a little bit more than it was. Whether it stays that way, I don't know.
Yeah, I think either way, this is kind of getting more political here, but I think either way, the election goes either way. The right or the left, there's going to be riots and stupid crap going on.
I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, moving on. Don, he asked if he just purchased a set of GMRS radios. Will those still work if we have an EMP event? I would recommend pulling your batteries and putting them in a Faraday cage or storing them like an ammo can or something that's full metal.
Even if you just pull the batteries, the odds are they probably will work.
Yeah,
And get an EMP shield for your house.
yeah, definitely.
I'm looking at using my tax return to install EMP shield on my breaker box. It won't if we have an EMP or a coronal mass ejection. Everything that I've got plugged into my house will most likely still function if and when the grid comes back.
Yeah.
You can get that for
Yeah,
your car
absolutely.
or your home generator.
Yes, Enzo, great idea. Says your microwave is a Faraday cage, but buy a non-working one at a yard sale. Absolutely, that's a good idea.
Yeah, just put your stuff out in the garage in the old microwave,
Yeah,
and nobody will look for it.
Yeah, Levi said they make Faraday safes. Yeah, but I think a microwave would be a similar. I mean, it'd be easier to break into. But yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, they make microwave Faraday bag or little Faraday bags.
Yep,
They're
they do.
zippered, and
Enzo
they're cheap.
Enzo said a lot of the. I love that. A lot of the screechers had a reality check after how the lockdowns and such were handled. Yes,
Yes, that's
absolutely.
true.
What do we got? What else we got here? I got a bunch, man.
I do too. While he's looking, did you see where? I don't know how many people saw that 23andMe had a huge data breach. So now some unknown people have access to your DNA. That's a little bit freaky. And two separate shark fatalities in the last few weeks.
That's why you don't go to the Bahamas for Christmas.
Yeah, or Mexico. Right. I got to talk about Detroit.
Yeah.
Detroit is on track to have their lowest homicide record since the 1960s. Now, I haven't looked into this deeply, but I know that the population of Detroit has been going down. So,
yeah,
is it possible because nobody lives there anymore? There's less fatalities. Just asking. I have not researched that, but
yeah, I haven't either. Yeah, Enzo's got another good idea. He said he keeps an old tablet in a Faraday cage, just loaded with ebooks.
Because you can put a lot of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and I would throw a solar charger in there with a USB, and those are cheap. They're on. You can get them on Temu. You can get them on Amazon, anywhere. And I was looking at a nice one. Folds up. It was. I want to say it was 14 watt output, so you could fast charge your phone. You could fast charge your tablet. And it had little hooks on it so you could stick suction cups in your window and hang your solar panel in your window of your house.
Yeah.
So
Don said it's because the Lions are winning. That's why people are leaving Detroit.
Well, are they? I mean, are they feeding people to the Lions?
Well, the football team, the Lions.
I know, but I think it'd be more fun to have actual lions.
Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Enzo always said he does have a solar panel with USB in it. Yeah, that's a great idea. They've got those little cell phone sized solar panel or solar chargers. I've got a few of those. I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You can buy a tri-fuel generator on Walmart.com for under $500. It'll run on gasoline, propane, or natural gas. They're not expensive. You can buy a little 1,000 watt generator that runs on 2-cycle fuel for about $150.
Yeah. I kind of went the more electric route. I bought one of those little Jackeries.
And those are great.
and a 100 watt panel that you can set up. I mean, I do a lot of work and I throw everything in my side by side and I'll go out, my rechargeable batteries and all that. And I tell you what, it works great. I can't complain about it. I mean, it doesn't take very long. It takes a couple of hours in a good sunlight, plugging it into the generator. It takes just a couple of hours. It's not a big one. It's one of those little handheld little carry, works great. I would definitely recommend anybody picking one up, and then I can charge my DeWalt 20-volt batteries and stuff in under an hour.
Yeah. Oh, and that brings up several things. One, Walmart.com has miniature hydro generators, small wind generators, and the Jackeries, like you're talking about, and they're all very reasonably priced. But if you have an old 12-volt drill, you have a generator. Did you know that? Those older 12-volt drills had magnets in them, and you can actually reverse engineer it and MacGyver your own little generator.
Yeah. I don't know that I have the know-how, but I'm sure it's on YouTube.
You just need a couple pieces of wire and makeshift crank.
Yeah.
And some zip ties.
Another one of my battle box treasures that I forgot that I had. Like I said, it's been probably a year or better since I got all those. I got a little hand crank weather radio. Speaking of cranks, it was sitting right here.
Those are great. Those are great.
It's quite a bit of work, but to get it because it was dead, But
most of them have a USB port now where you can use them to charge your cell phone.
Yeah, that's what I did here. It's got a USB port, and you can actually plug it in also to charge it. But if you're on the go, great to have. All right, Levi said, all right, this isn't Ask Me Anything, right? And PVS night vision versus natural human night vision. What do you think's best?
Whatever you have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think good night vision is expensive. Extremely expensive. Sure, I mean, humans aren't really made to really be out at night. It takes a long time for it's about half an hour in a pure dark room for your night vision to kick in to really get everything where you can start seeing. In case of an EMP or something like that, where you're not going to have light or nothing like that, and you're going to be outside at night. I mean, your vision it takes about 30 minutes for your eyes to adjust. I would say the downside for artificial night vision, your night vision goggles, things like that. I mean, they're great tools to have. Absolutely. I really, unless you're hunting coyotes or something like that. I mean, the over the counter crap, and I'll say that that you buy, because I bought at some night vision binoculars, and they weren't really true night vision. They would feed off your IR signal. You remember that night you and I went out?
Yeah.
And you couldn't really see very far out.
No.
And because they were using the IR beam that the binoculars would shoot out. I mean, you might be able to see 40, maybe 50 feet in front of you. So to me, it wasn't worth the cost of them. And they cost about $100. I took them back because I just wasn't impressed.
Yeah, you really need an IR source, an IR light. Which some people have. I've got an IR light that does a pretty good job, but I mean, it doesn't light up a long distance. There's a reason why pirates wore a patch over one eye. It wasn't because they had one eye. It was to preserve their night vision in that one eye.
Yeah.
And that's still an option. Your night vision is very good once you get it to kick in.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I know in the military, they would to prep your eyes for night vision, you would sit in a dark room. And they're impressive, like military grade night vision. And this was 20 years ago. Is impressive. You'll see if you wear a set of night vision goggles and look up at the stars, you'll see more stars than you ever thought existed.
Yeah,
It's impressive.
They've got new ones now that look like just regular goggles. Don't have the giant converter tubes on them now. They just look like a wraparound goggles.
Yeah, Levi, that's true. He said the reason you might wear an eye patch as well, I have one eye. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is that.
Yes, Enzo, you're absolutely right. Yeah. Night vision said viewers vary a lot. You get what you pay for. Yeah, absolutely, you do.
That is true. With everything.
I would say night vision is awesome if you can afford it, the good night vision. But in all honesty, I mean, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's necessary. And for most people, true, really good night vision isn't really feasible. It would be like on the very bottom of my list if I was to want to make that purchase.
I mean, and if you're going to be using it for security, you're better off putting out LED solar panel rechargeable lights out in your yard.
Yeah.
I mean,
and unfortunately, I mean, any kind of lighting, if you're in a dark situation, any kind of lighting is going to ruin your night vision.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, you kind of want it to see, but then again, if you use it, you're not going to be able to see.
Well, I when I'm ghost hunting, because you all know I'm a ghost hunter, I like to use blacklight flashlights. It provides enough light for me to see while retaining my night vision.
Right.
So there's an option there. It makes everything. And if most people have laundry detergent that has UV brighteners in it, so you will be able to see people before they see you because they will stand out quite brilliantly. For the most part.
Yeah, Enzo, you're right. The digital night vision, they are nice. There's no chance to burn in your viewing tubes. Levi, he asked, where would he go? Yeah, red lights also kind of have that effect. They won't damage your night vision. Tactically speaking, though, you really don't want to use any open source of light. Even a cigarette.
Gives you something to shoot at.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it from a long way away. Yeah, that's really all I have to say on night vision. I mean, yeah, I don't think they're necessary in my opinion. Would it be nice to have? Absolutely, it would.
I'd love to play with some, just
yeah,
for shits and giggles.
But also, I mean, something you want to think about in a bug out situation or a get home situation. For one, I don't think you really need them. But then you're thinking you're talking weight.
Yeah.
They would take up a spot in your pack that could be used for something more important.
Yeah. My get home bag is a single sling over the shoulder bag. It's about this wide and about this tall. Weighs about 4.5 pounds, and I have enough stuff to go for 3 days. Yep. Just for an emergency. Now, even as slow as I walk, it's not going to take me 3 days to get from Independence back to home or wherever, but I've got 3 days covered. And it doesn't take a lot, but you've got to really pick it. I found out the hard way. You've got to pick and choose what you're going to carry.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be selective.
Absolutely. Just real quick, I mean, what do you have in yours?
In my get home bag?
Yep.
I got a 1-person tent, and like I said, it's about this big. 1-person tent, poncho, and sleeping bag. It has a fire starter built into the bag because it comes in a little drawstring bag, so I can pack it in there. Got an IFAK first aid kit. Now, that takes up most of my bag because it is a very comprehensive kit. In it is a cable saw, flashlight, a very small multi-tool, and one of those little lock blade knives that has the clip on it, so you can clip it to your belt loop.
Yep.
I have one of the little packages of condensed food bars that once you open it, you've got to eat the whole bag, but it's got 3 days worth of calories in bite-sized chunks you break off and eat. And then I've got a real knife in it. And I bought a bunch of the laser cut emergency cards just because I found a good deal on them, but they've got fish hooks and all sorts of stuff you just punch out of the steel. Frog gig tools, arrowheads, a miniature knife, all sorts of stuff. And they're credit card sized deals. So they pack in there really tight. Might not ever need them, but they were inexpensive and lightweight. So I got them. And also, last but certainly not least, I have a pretty nice size spool of paracord because you never know. I mean, you can use it for a tourniquet, you can use it for a belt, you can use it to sling shit over your shoulder. So, I mean, I could tie water bottles around it and carry water bottles around my neck without having to, it's not very big, but I tried to make it as comprehensive as possible without taking up too much room.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, that's really all you need. I mean, you're going home.
I'm going home. I can get home. Now the poncho and the sleeping bags, like I said, they're nylon with a Mylar lining. So they're thermal, but it would keep the rain off. I could set up and take shelter. They're also bright orange, which may or may not be a good idea. I can also get it in hunter green.
Yep.
If I choose to change it up. So with the combination, I could stay warm even if there's a snowstorm.
Right. We got a question from Taylor Austin, one of our Facebook viewers. Thanks for joining us, Taylor. I think this is the first time you've been on. Yeah, welcome. If you have to bug out on foot, why would you recommend recommend traveling on roads or try to be more secluded? I think it would, to me, I think
it's situational.
I agree. I think it's situational. If it's just you or another adult, I would try to remain more secluded. Depends on the situation, the population. If you're out here where I live, where there's nobody around, I don't see a reason why. I mean, you can see people coming from a ways out.
Yeah, and in our area, the crackheads will even help you change a tire.
Right. So,
I mean, we're not in a bad area, but in a big city, I would try to, stay off the grid.
Yeah. And like you said, I think it's purely situational. Yeah. But if you got kids, it's going to be a lot harder to travel cross country. It's going to be a lot harder to get them to want to travel cross country. But then again, I mean, it depends on the kid too. I mean, the age, I mean, my kids right now, my youngest are, 6 and almost 9. They're all into exploring. They've been out, they call it exploring every night. They're out walking around the property and looking at stuff and all that. Which is great. It gets them out there, gets them familiar with the property and nature, and I think it's great.
That's what I called playing outdoors when I was a kid.
Right.
I mean, you don't see kids doing that much anymore, but it's a good thing, and I'm very glad to hear that your kids really enjoy that.
But yeah, again, I think it's fully situational. If you're bugging out, hopefully you got a place you're going. You should know how long it's going to take you to get there, especially on foot.
Paper maps,
best routes, paper mounts. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Enzo. I agree. Says a lot of reasons you would have to bug out or use your get home bag really depend on your scenario at the time. Yeah, absolutely. They do. Levi said, if you have back alley side streets out in the more rural areas, he said, I prefer tree lines and foliage. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty simplistic, but again, it depends on the situation. If you're looking at total societal breakdown, people are panicking. Yeah. You obviously want to, avoid that. You want to just, you go around it. It may take you longer, but it's safer. Um, if it's an EMP, people trying to figure out what's going on, but you and your gut know, hey, this is what's happened because nobody's got power. Nothing, even my cell phone doesn't have power, and you're one of the first to go. Get out. I mean,
Get on that
it,
road
it,
and go like no, drive it like you stole it.
absolutely, absolutely. Again, it goes back to your foldable wagon, for kids and stuff like that. If you've got one, use it. Again, it might be more difficult to go cross country or off the beaten path. So it's totally situational. But I guess if it's more of a risky situation, yeah, you want to avoid the main roads and all that. If it's more of a laid back, calm situation, maybe a bad storm or something blew through, and you're just trying to get home, I don't see a reason why you couldn't use the main roads.
No, and you might want to band together with other people trying to go the same direction you are.
Right.
Odds are you know those people.
Right.
For instance, if something happened where Phil and I work, I know enough people who live in my town. We could band together and go as a group for safety. There are mountain lions in our area.
Yeah.
And they do not like groups. So say it was a bad storm or a solar storm that knocked out the grid and we were all trying to get to home together. At that point, I would probably be more worried about running into a pack of coyotes or a mountain lion than I would other people, at least for the first few days.
Yep. Yeah. Strength in numbers. Absolutely. And that goes, that leads me to a kind of another topic related to this. Some of you may remember, some of you may not have been aware of the podcast at the time. What's it? Shoot, it's been what, 2 years since Mike was on?
Yeah, about 2 years.
He came out.
We've been doing the podcast for over 3 now.
Yeah, so it's been about 2 years. Well, if you're not familiar with him, NoStressMike.com. Look him up on YouTube, No Stress Mike. He's real big on, and I'm going to say the dreaded M word, 3-man militia. It's not necessarily a militia, in the bad connotation that has been turned, and contorted to. It's basically getting 3 people together. Let's say, me, you, and Enzo. We come to a common, hey, we want to do this. Say we want a cooking group, a cooking militia, for disasters or for huge fires or something like that. And we pull together, we create our 3-man militia. We get a hold of the local sheriff. For those of you that don't know, your local sheriff has the most authority of any other law enforcement officer in the nation. And he answers directly to the voters. But let him know. Say, hey, I've got this group. You don't have to call it a militia or whatever. You
can call it an action group.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
or whatever.
I'm just saying 3-man militia because that's what Mike calls it. But hey, you figure out, okay, this is how many people that we know that we can serve. We'll break out the grills or whatever we're going to use to cook. We want to set up at a certain location. You tell us the location to set up. We'll set up. We'll start cooking. And we'll start feeding these people. And you need to do everything within that area to stockpile and whatever. That way you have it on hand in case that happens. But it serves twofold. You have your group, you train together, you work together, you're helping your community, but also that you give the sheriff somebody to rely on to help them, provide food or safety or whatever your 3-man militia is. It doesn't have to be food, whatever. Hearts and minds. Yeah, absolutely. Hearts and minds.
Yeah. You could have 3 guys who've got, say, search and rescue training, and they
Right.
just go tell the sheriff, we can't do this full time, but if you've got an emergency, give us a call. We'll be there.
Right. We'll help you out. Or you a boating group. You have a boating group and you guys have little boats or whatever, flat bottom boats. And if somebody
You
goes
need rescue
missing or is
personnel.
drowned,
Yeah.
you got our boats. We'll drive it. You guys we'll take you where you feel you need to go. Whatever. I mean, to me, it's a great concept because it's based off of the Marine Corps fire team, which now a fire team is 4 people, but either way, I mean, it's a great thing because it's ever expanding. I mean, we might have 3 people here, then me and Levi and Enzo may do something totally different, but we're still kind of connected. You'll learn, you'll do other things together. Then you bring your whole group together and you guys have a contingency for a certain situation. And again, it kind of goes back to building that community like Mark and I have really talked about a lot this year.
Yeah. Build a community, and you've got a community. All you've got to do is acknowledge them and look for them and get together and say, hey, if something happens, I'm here. I mean, I finally got some neighbors I like around here. If you live someplace other than Caney that has contaminated soil, I mean, you could have a local gardening group.
Yeah.
And that's great for the community. You could decide to say, hey, there's this empty lot over here. We would like permission from whoever owns it to use it as a community garden until they find something better to do with it. And you could just grow stuff and tell people, hey, you need some tomatoes? Come on by. You need some peppers? Come on by.
Or you guys know of somebody in need, a little old lady that lives down the street that lives on a very tight income and she needs help. I mean,
we'll keep her in turnips and taters forever.
Right. Levi said the reserves are another great thing to get into, whether it be fire or PD. Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah. My wife, she said she could start a garden group or a food co-op. Yes.
Yes.
That's what's so great about the concept of the 3-man militia.
It could be anything.
It can be anything, whatever your heart desires.
You could get 3 grandmas together that like to knit to make warm things for people who don't have warm things.
Right.
You tell the sheriff, hey, me and my friends are knitting hats and scarves, and we don't have anybody to give them to, but if you've got some little kids or something that need these things, we'll provide them for free.
Right.
So you can turn your hobbies into a way to help the community.
Right. Ham radio groups.
They're great.
Anything I'll just say about anything you can think of.
Yeah. I like to brew beer as a hobby.
Heck yeah.
I mean, so we could have a 3-man militia just to, sample the product.
Right.
On a weekly basis.
Classes for canning food, for food preservation in general. Yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, whatever you want to plug into that.
If you can think it, you can do it.
Yeah, you can do it. It's a hobby. I mean, it'd be kind of hard to have a 3-man militia on podcasts, but
I mean, we almost do
it. Yeah, we do on the other podcasts.
We pretty much, yeah. We got, yeah. It could be anything.
Sean said he wants in on that. Yeah, go on, dude.
Yeah, you could enjoy doing carpentry on your weekends.
Yeah,
you could go help repair houses. If somebody has a small fire or something and it's repairable, but they don't have money to fix it.
Right. I mean, the possibilities are endless when it comes to that. What's up, guys? What's up, Space Oddities?
If you can get enough people in your community with that mindset in your town, then it just becomes something that grows and grows and grows, and you have all these groups trying to help other people, and then if something really goes down, then these groups will tend to want to come together and help each other and help everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
Part of
forgot
it
that's
is
Gary.
bringing cool.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. Anyway, I don't mean to detract from you, Mark. Sorry.
No, it's fine. But I, the whole idyllic 1950s community isn't dead. It's not what it used to be, but you still find pockets like that where people just want to help their neighbors. And I want to be that guy, and I'd like to see more of those guys out there. So,
but what's sad is when somebody wants that, they want to have that just to reach out and help people. I mean, people look at them leerily. They're real leery
like,
about
watch
it because
your
they think,
angle.
what do you want from me?
Right?
That's how untrusting our society is, and
that's the media. The media's fault for that. 100,000%.
Absolutely, it is. It's frustrating, when we're trying to do what we're trying to do, get the word out and try to help people build communities and things like that. When it's something as simple as talking to your neighbor, because people don't talk to their neighbors anymore.
No, they don't. They've got their heads buried in this thing.
Yep.
And I'm just as guilty. I'm trying to prove that Kindle Unlimited is actually got a limit. I failed so far, but I'm trying.
I hardly even get on my phone anymore.
That's the only thing I do on my phone anymore is read. I don't. I pay my bills on it, and then that's about it. And read. Books are good.
Yeah, it's just
that's another thing for a previous question. Something you can do to prepare hard copy books.
Yes.
On stuff like herbal medicine. My son's got a great set of books from the 70s, how to fix almost anything. It was from Popular Mechanics. These books are like that thick. They talk about washers, dryers, radios, TVs.
I've got a couple of those like that, but they're from Reader's Digest.
Oh, maybe that's where it was.
Does that even exist anymore? Reader's Digest?
Yes, Reader's Digest still does exist. So, but hard copy books, and you can still buy hard copy books on Amazon for all those things. Bushcraft, how to filter water, anything you can imagine that would be useful in a situation like that. Get a hard copy book and keep it around.
Yeah, definitely, especially like first aid, things like that. I mean, if you've never had training in it, for one, I would recommend getting it. Go to the Red Cross.
Or Red Cross be like Enzo and get you an old tablet.
Yeah.
And buy it on Kindle and store it on your tablet with a charger in a Faraday bag.
To me, one of the big problems with all of your your e-subscriptions and buying movies online or books online, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying I'm not. I mean, I've got all sorts of movies on Amazon that I paid for and all that. When they decide, especially today's climate, you hear all this crap, being canceled and whatever, and the whole cancel culture crap. And this might be taking it a little bit far. But if they determine something in that movie or in that book is racist, or that's Taylor Austin, he said, create a binder and print out usually. Yeah, that's a good idea too. But to rent and all that, this is something we're being conditioned to do, is to rent everything. And again, this goes to the whole Great Reset, stuff like that, because they don't want you to own anything. I mean, they've said it. You'll own nothing, and they like it. They're talking like they want you to rent like kitchen appliances. If you need it, you rent it and all that. It's frustrating. So I mean, even movies, like I said, they were being conditioned. Everybody pays subscriptions. Everybody rents or buys movies online. But if there's something in there that they don't like, they can just cut that out. Bam. Then you have the movie. That's your movie now. Or if they decide that it's offensive, they can just take it off, even though you've paid your good money for it. You don't really own that.
That's true. You own the
now,
rights to view it,
right?
Until they decide you don't.
Now, like Enzo said, if he downloads it to his book, or you, Mark, if you download his book to your tablet or whatever, and you store it in your Faraday cage or whatever and keep it turned off or whatever, and then you break it out when there's no internet connection, well, they can't take it from you, but
you could download it as a PDF and store it, or even on a thumb drive that you can plug into something that you've got put away in a Faraday bag.
Yeah. Gary, he said, Practical Herbal Medicine Handbook, your quick reference guide to healing herbs and remedies. Yes, I think we might have that one.
Absolutely.
We've got something like that anyway.
Yeah, I think I've got something like that.
Says you can download all, or Enzo, he said you can download all of Wikipedia, and I have a version on my disaster tablet. I really need to update it. Yeah. I mean, there's just, again, the possibilities are limitless.
Stuff like this. Zoology. That one's useless. Bird life. Cacti. Fishes. Herbs and spices.
That'd be a good one.
Flowering plants, which actually talks about some toxic plants.
Yeah.
Which could in and of itself be useful. And these are just things that I picked up. Well, I picked these all up for free. So I have a lot of money in this collection. And I got more. I just have to dig for them.
Gary, says SAS Survival Handbook. Yes, that's a good one too. I think I've got, I don't know, it's either Rangers or Navy SEAL or something like that. Survival Handbook. It's actually a pretty cool book. It's got some really cool, I'll just say crafts.
I think I've got the SAS one someplace too.
Yeah, edible plant identification. There's all sorts of great resources out there, but yeah, like the point is hard physical copies.
Yeah. All kinds of a general first aid book is a good one to keep.
Yep.
I mean, anybody should have that in their house. I don't care whether you're planning on bugging out or not. That is a good book to have.
Yep.
Under any circumstances.
We went to that Okie Homesteading Expo last May, June. I think it was June, first part of June. And they had somebody there teaching wild edible plants. And we got back. I mean, there was just a few that I recognized from what they were showing in the class. I think we got there kind of late anyway. But I was like, man, that's pretty cool. They had it like Old Man's Pepper or something like that. And it kind of has a black pepper taste to it that people would use to season their foods, and it was just kind of, and obviously the dandelions and,
cattails.
Yeah, cattails. But they were willing to travel to your property and walk your property and tell you what plants you have that are edible. So it's a good resource if it's feasible for you. They charged, I can't remember, it was like $100. Then plus, Poor Man's Pepper is what it was. And it was like so much per mile, over 100 miles or something like that. I mean, it was, if you're that curious, there's people out there that will teach you. And I want to say the trade school there in Bartlesville actually taught a class on wild edibles and things like that too. I mean,
there was a primitive survival class out of the Cali County Community College years ago. I think they still have it.
Yeah.
They drop you off with a rope, a knife, and a tarp, and that's all you had for like 3 days.
That's actually sounds kind of fun, but
yeah,
for I mean, if you're into it or whatever, but I mean, but you don't really have to go to these classes now. It'd be great to be personally taught. That way, if you have questions and all that,
a lot of this stuff's on YouTube.
It is absolutely on YouTube. I've been watching a bunch of like bushcrafting and like shelters and all that because there's some guys that make some amazing shelters.
Oh yeah, I have seen some crazy stuff. It's like, all right, and of course they do it time lapse, and you're what? What? They make it look so easy.
Yeah, I mean, some of these wouldn't be feasible for a survival situation. You know, you're trying to get home or you're bug out or whatever. I mean, it wouldn't be feasible, but just to have on your property and go hang out in it, it'd be amazing. There's like one guy I was watching the other night was a dugout shelter, and it was pretty, I don't know, 3 or 4 foot hole that he dug, and then he built up logs and stuff over the top for a roof and all that. It was freaking cool.
I want a cave. I still wish we would have had the money to buy the old the caves over there in Joplin. You can,
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be sweet.
I mean, we could put houses on top with a spiral stair, the whole Doomsday Bunker.
Oh yeah,
I forget
make
how
like
many acres. 15 acres of
something like that.
man-made caves. Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
yes.
I mean, you could do the Batman fire pole. Yeah,
Yeah, and they had the garage door to get out. You could just make it look
Right.
like it.
Yeah.
That was the cool thing, is you could drive a truck into them. So
Yep, absolutely. That's what I said. Mark would install bat poles. Yes.
will they be more like batty poles if they're for me?
Yeah. You can have the red phone. Have the commissioner call you.
Oh, the statue with the head,
Right.
the full button. I mean, why not? But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things out there, and you don't be limited to just what we say. Look into it, research it, do what you think is going to work for you.
Yeah.
Like I said, in most cases, you're not going to want to leave unless there's some sort of big natural disaster. And even the case of most natural disasters, you're probably better off sheltering in place. Now, the stuff I have to shelter in place, much of it can be taken with me if I have to leave. So it serves dual purpose.
Right.
I have a lot of dual purpose things.
And that's a good idea.
Gary
said invest in a beehive. Yeah. If you have the space, I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, we bought one last summer, because we found an actual a cedar tree out here last summer that was full of bees. I mean, it was a new hive. They were in there. I was like, man, that's awesome. And my wife and I, we made a beeline down to Atwoods and bought a beehive, and we're going to try to set it up and draw some bees into it. Maybe next year or so when they split, we'll have our own wild bees that we don't have to buy them. They're more acclimated to the area, so there'll be some. They'll be better off here because they're from here instead of having them ordered in.
Right. And natural honey from your area is actually very good for your allergies.
Absolutely.
And your immune system. So, and
Gary
it stores forever, literally.
Well, hey, Gary, there's tons of places for sale up here in Kansas. I mean, it's a good central location. And,
man, I'll find you a place up here.
Yeah,
just
definitely more than welcome. Yeah, he said it takes up like 2 square feet.
Yeah. Have you seen the ones that are self-draining?
Yeah, the flow hives.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are pretty neat. I don't know. Real quick before we get off, is there any other questions anybody needs to wants to ask? Gun laws in Kansas, Gary, or constitutional carry?
Yep. They call us the gunflower state. It's a thing. Check it out. So, yeah, I don't see anybody else having any more questions. Oh.
No.
Move on up here,
man.
Up.
Yeah.
Man, we
already know people.
Yeah, you know people. We get together every weekend. It'd be fine.
Yeah. Enzo's not that far from us. I mean,
Yeah.
we've already answered that at the early show. I don't want to get any more personal details.
No.
Gary said, "What color is your underwear?" Uh,
Don't
yeah.
trust anything I say about it because it's going to be smart ass.
But yeah, let's see. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us in the chat. It's been a lot of fun. I think we might just do this as a regular show. I mean,
Yeah, every
maybe
few
once
few
a month,
months or
maybe every
so.
couple
Yeah.
months. Yeah, let's see. We got a comment pop up. Yeah, go for it, Gary. What do you want to plug? But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of a couple of
I
new
love the
faces showed up.
interaction.
Yeah, that's
I
great. I
do.
love it.
Share with your friends.
Yeah, a lot of good questions, a lot of good comments. You know, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, my wife, Gary, my wife said there's a house for sale by us.
But, hey, you got a great neighbor right there.
Yeah, I mean, rural. I mean, ask Enzo, ask Mark. You know, my nearest neighbor is like 3/4 of a mile away. It's great, and they're good. Most of them are good people. Oh, awesome, awesome. Yeah,
Well, hell yeah, get it up here.
yeah.
Be sure
We'll
to
plug you all day
share it
long,
on
dude.
share it on our Facebook
Yeah.
group.
Well, we got all sorts of acreage up here. The population in the county is about what 30,000 roughly.
Yeah, it's small. So, yeah. So, what's your podcast going to be called?
Yeah, my wife said the house that's for sale out by us has got 5 acres.
Well, it's not quite 10, but it's a good start.
Yeah. There's one actually a mile south of us that's for sale. Is that the one you're talking about? Space Oddities?
Space
Okay.
Oddities. All right.
So definitely, Gary, let us know, man. I mean, is it going to be, yeah. So I know the guy actually that's selling it. It's got a good crappie pond on it. You know, I think it's either a 1 or 2 bedroom house though. That's the only downside. And he's got
There's a
kids.
guy we work with selling a pretty good chunk of land with its own airfield.
Yeah. Yeah. If you got the
I
money.
mean, if you got the
It's
money.
like he's got 80 acres though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gary, will it be an audio or just on YouTube? Gary said 2 years from now, the wife's in a contract with the post office. Yeah, send it to us and I'll share it.
Yeah.
Actually, absolutely share it on the group. It's going to be on YouTube, so definitely. Yeah, we'll definitely check you out, man. I mean, any help we can give you, holler. Be happy to help you out, man.
Yeah, and you can take your YouTube and you can say if you're using something like StreamYard here, you can go directly to YouTube and then go ahead and upload it to a regular podcast provider as just audio if you want. That's what I'm gonna do with the show after we're done. I'm gonna strip it down and put it on Spreaker to put on all the podcast providers.
It doesn't have a gun range, but he's got 80 acres. So
It can if you want.
right.
Yeah.
And it's just a couple miles north of me, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a small gun range over at the airport that's open to the public for nothing, for free.
Yep, it is a gun range, pretty much. However you want to do it.
That's exactly it. So. I think if that's it, we'll just wrap up.
Yeah, definitely, Gary. Share the link on the group. Well, come on up, man.
Man, you're always welcome up here.
Absolutely.
Oh, we have a
Uh,
Paracon in September that you can
yeah,
just come to.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Have him speak. He could talk UFOs.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, Gary, definitely share that on our group. Or if you want, you can send me the link personally and I'll share it up on the group. Either way, it doesn't matter. But you guys keep an eye out for Space Oddities on YouTube. And yeah, no, I mean, you can share it on our Facebook group, the What If Tomorrow podcast group. You can share it.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
said, if not, we'll share it. Yeah, I done lost my train of thought. But yeah, tonight's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. I think we definitely want to do this
It
more.
really has. I've had a good time.
Yeah, definitely want to do this more often. Everybody that's hung out with us and chatted and all that. Yeah, thank you. Kind of trying to watch the chat and all that. But
Yeah, same here.
Mark, unless you've got anything else.
I don't, man.
I'm gonna close her out.
I've had a good time, and I'm glad everybody came and joined this.
Yeah, me too.
So,
Me too. Missed you too, man. I haven't talked to you in a while.
thank you, everybody,
know.
for your questions, comments, and
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for everybody. Man, Gary, I missed you. I mean, I don't know, we talked here a while
I
back.
think we lost you.
Yeah, there's just a couple. There's a few people watching, but
Either you're cutting in and out, or I am.
I don't know. Yeah, the others are on the Facebook side. Just Enzo and Gary on YouTube. Yeah, definitely, man. I'll have to be in touch. We'd love to have you back on. You were supposed to come on with us a while back, but something happened where it didn't work out. We were actually talking permaculture and with Joe last time Joe was on us. That was last summer. But yeah, good night, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Good.
All
well,
right.
we've had a good night. So
I think we're about done.
Yep, absolutely. Oh crap.
Yeah, your internet's starting to cut in and out. So I think the powers that be are telling us something.
I think it's time. All right, everybody. Thanks again for hanging out with us. And we'll catch you next episode.
Y'all have a good night.